Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Contingency Plan Podcast. My name is Jedi Master David, and with me, as always, is Darth Austin.
Hello, everyone.
Well, the Clone Wars is over. We have no more Clone Wars. It is now officially over.
Revenge of the Sith.
Not even that. It was already Revenging of the Sith when we were watching it, wasn't it?
No kidding, about halfway through.
Yeah.
People have been trying to do these weird little mashups where they put scenes from that in with Revenge of the Sith. Haven't good ones yet, but it is a cool concept.
You know, I saw a hilarious one edit today. So you remember in Clone Wars where they were in the fighting pit and then Yoda comes down with the clones? So when right before they hit the clones, they start playing CCR's Fortunate Son.
What?
You know the song? It's like every like 70s Vietnam era war movie when they come in with the choppers. Dun-na, dun-na, you know.
I guess it would work.
It would, yeah. If I find that, I'll have to say. I was gonna post it on Twitter, but I forgot about it. That made me laugh. Like even or like play Run Through the Jungle. I think CCR was just made to be like the Vietnam
for every war movie.
the Vietnam war music. Yeah, that was
It'd be a good way to open Revenge of the Sith too. Actually, when you think about it.
Well, it just made it because obviously it's a serious moment, but that's what happens in like every single war movie when the reinforcements come in. You just have some. Yeah. You're just getting ready to rock out, brother. You know, just running through the jungle. So that made me laugh.
If I could find a really good mashup where they took both the four-part series for Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith together, I'd probably pay for it, honestly. Because if that was well done, it would really be an awesome movie. It'd also be about 4 hours, but still,
yeah, it might. Well, yeah, I mean, we've talked Clone Wars death, did that episode by episode. Eventually, we'll probably do, a retrospective of the entire series or maybe do a season by season type of thing. And I think, before we started recording, you had also talked about maybe doing some watchovers of Rebels as well, which is more my speed. Did you watch all of Rebels?
No, I never watched all of it. I think I only watched the first season, and that was so long ago. I really don't remember much about it, honestly.
Gotcha.
So when did that come out? 2009, 2010?
I want to say it was 2013, but
oh, okay.
Let me double check that.
You go
2014.
That's everyone. Oh, wow. Yep, didn't realize it was that recent.
Yep, 2014 and 2018.
Okay.
And then maybe 2021. I don't know.
So yeah, I'll actually get to enjoy some new Star Wars, technically, because no, I haven't finished that. I know pretty much the entire story arc just from YouTube channels, discussions, podcasts, all that, but yeah.
Yeah, I think your favorite part was space whales, wasn't it? You don't even know
what's that?
You don't even know what space whales are, do you?
Space whales.
Don't worry, you'll figure it out.
Are we talking South Park space whales?
Nope. Jedi space whales. Don't worry, you'll get to it.
I'm looking forward to that. Do they have massive lightsabers?
What, you talking about like girth or length?
Oh God! All right, and we're going to end that. We're just going to end that. Yeah.
No, the animations always change. What I always thought was funny about the lightsabers is they gave them like really skinny blades, almost like fencing swords.
Yeah, I always thought that was a bit strange.
Yeah. Yeah. Kanan does have a cool lightsaber though. It is his is really neat. Ezra's first season saber was also pretty interesting as well. It had it's like a gun handle. So, he had like an energy ball that it blasted out, but then he could also have the saber. And that was kind of before he really learned how to properly use a saber.
Right.
And there was,
And then it just throws away something awesome. That's okay. We'll just never use that again, like it didn't happen.
well, you'll know why. As well, that's not really that big of a secret. I mean, kind of when you become a Jedi or Jedi Knight, you a lot of times do construct another saber as another part of
Right.
your training, which I always thought was funny because like Clone Wars had it with some of the Ahsoka Padawan episodes where they were like constructing sabers and stuff, and they're like really basic sabers. But then here comes Obi-Wan flipping Kenobi, all right, with his giant, super intricate, big old pommel saber from episode 1, two-hander. And, and he had, I don't know, he had three sabers or 2 sabers. I don't remember. I just remember that one, and it's a really cool saber.
Yeah, probably 3.
Well,
yeah, I think that the original Obi-Wan saber was always kind of one of the more iconic ones. I think everyone always used the pommel of that when they were making their own saber.
Well, even
what just unique.
Well, even what he had during the Clone Wars so closely resembled Luke's saber because Luke built it off of a plan he found in Obi-Wan's hut, which of course you don't see in anywhere. You just have to read about it.
You assume it.
So yeah. Either way you look at it, Obi-Wan was he had some cool sabers.
He did.
Qui-Gon had his very basic, but Obi-Wan just the one-upsmanship there.
Yeah, we go from. I always thought that was interesting. You got Dooku as one of the most unique sabers, then to Qui-Gon, who just has the most boring saber ever, and then.
Well, I think I had read
then Obi-Wan's strange sabers.
True, but I mean Qui-Gon was such a no nonsense, really no needs, no frills kind of person. So really the saber honestly fit him. And when you think about it, because you're trapped at home and I have projects to do and I'm doing things, but I also get bored. So I've looked around like the internet at lightsabers just because.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, when you actually look at all these sabers and like think about your hand on them, honestly, Qui-Gon's is probably the most ergonomic saber out there, isn't it?
Probably.
Like if you think about holding Anakin's or the one that Luke had in, leading up to, going through like A New Hope and then Rey, obviously the one Rey carried, that looks uncomfortable as hell. Because you think like Luke, when he first grabbed it, he grabs it by the very end where there's all those little like T guards there. And it's huge.
Most awkward place to possibly grab it.
Right. Now, Rey, I believe, if I remember correctly, she grips it closer to the ignition switch there, which makes more sense.
Which wouldn't be bad until you're, holding it with both hands trying to, put some power behind it, then it becomes really awkward.
Well, it's not a super
like
long saber
too, for that matter.
This is an interesting conversation, and I want to continue it because I've actually been thinking about this a lot. Let's talk about Cal Kestis saber. So Cal's saber has a slim handle, but then that big top-heavy guard at the top. The ignition switch, at least by a lot of what you see replicas and stuff, is further down the handle. So again, I'm thinking about like choking up on this bad boy and like your hands on the switch in a lot of these things. And it happens with so many sabers. It's like these have got to be, they're cool looking, but they've got to be the most awkward fighting implement ever, right?
Well, and also look at Cal's master, who he got the saber from. Their hands are a little different.
It's true.
I don't think what would be comfortable for his master would work for him at all. It's true.
I just keep thinking about
it. It doesn't get much better when he customizes it.
No,
although he does make the second one quite a bit smaller.
It's a super cool saber, though. It looks awesome. And I've thought about it.
I rarely ever customized it. Honestly, it was about perfect the way it was.
So if you think to yourself, Darth, and I know obviously you'd have to go bleed your crystal. You have to go murder some innocent Jedi to get a crystal and then bleed it. But when you're thinking about a saber, like what comes to your mind? Like what comes to your mind when you're saying this is the Darth saber?
Well, it needs spikes.
I need a pummel that I can put through somebody's skull. Are you
Or a
thinking like
dagger
dual
sticking out the
blade
back.
or like single blade?
I'm not a big fan of dual blade lightsabers. They are fun in video
I
games,
actually
but
think
for
they're cool.
practicality, they are. But for practicality, that fighting style would not be my first pick. No matter how fun it is to watch them all fight, for close quarters, you're kind of just, if you get put in a corner, you're kind of screwed when you think about it.
Well, now Maul I don't remember if it was in Clone Wars or Rebels or in a combination of the two. It all bleeds in together sometimes. But he actually did only have one section of that dual blade at one time. So he did carry, which is actually something that you can buy at Galaxy's Edge. That's a saber that one of the buyable ones, I guess, at like the store in the fancy little pop open cases. It's only the single.
That's interesting.
Sorry, back to your saber. I don't want to like interrupt your mystical journey between you and your life's energy, extension of your
Let me
force.
ask you this. Let me ask you this real quick, since we're talking Darth sabers. How useless do you think that Darth Ray's saber would be when not extended out into its staff form?
Yeah, that's been talked to death, but you're right. I think it is pretty useless. I just think about like snapping my hand.
Pinching it between them when you fold it in or whatever.
The only thing I could think about is like if there was like if an attachment to attach it to her staff, and then you have kind of like a trident pokey thing, like a spear.
Yeah. That'd be useful.
And then you could open it up and then like spin it, right, like a top.
Yeah,
it's a dumb saber.
I know one thing. One thing I always thought would be cool is I don't know if you remember them or not, but I was always into older. I believe the fighting style was like Taekwondo. They were sabers that were essentially split down the middle. They would connect together to make one full sword, but then you could pull them apart and you'd have two swords.
Dude, you had one of those as a kid, didn't you?
I did have one of those, and it was warped and bent and crappy, but it was awesome, and I loved it.
Do you have that? You don't have that anymore, do you?
I probably don't. If I do, it's probably somewhere in the abyss of Dad's garage.
That's hilarious. I'd totally forgotten about that, but yeah, you're right. I do remember you having that.
Something like that where you could either rotate it and make a very short, handled staff, or take it apart and have two lightsabers. I feel like having that flat end, because obviously be split in half, would almost be fairly comfortable if you have that on your finger side and then you have your thumb wrapped around the curved portion of it. I feel like that'd be kind of a comfortable saber.
Interesting.
I don't know how like the actual saber portion of that would work, because obviously you don't want your saber to be thinner. See, I mean, at that point, are you splitting the crystal in half, or do you have two?
Yeah, I mean,
something I never worked out.
I like the thought process. The thought process is definitely interesting. What's your color? What's saber color? I mean,
well, seeing as how it doesn't have to be a Darth color.
It doesn't have to be.
I don't know. One thing I always thought would be cool, assuming that you would have two crystals, is have maybe one red, one green, and then when you put them together, it would combine. It would
start singing Jingle Bell Rock.
Yeah, sure. Something like that. I don't know, but I've always been a fan of the offshoot colors, whether it be amber, white, the dark saber. Obviously, a black saber would be awesome.
Okay.
Not the biggest fan of blue and green. They're just so overdone, generic. And I feel like purple is just solely for Mace Windu and Mara, that no one else should really ever get those colors.
Sure.
But I'm sure there are other Jedi through history that have purple sabers, but
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. I don't really know of too many that we've really come across that had purple sabers, aside from the ones you mentioned.
even Mara never really had a purple saber often. It was more for book art, I think, than anything else.
Yeah.
Because usually it would be depicted as a green saber when you actually read the book.
Yeah, well, continuity in the extended universe was not necessarily universal, so let's not get crazy.
So much so that they can't even look at their cover art and remember what color the character's sabers.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I always kind of there is a saber that I was looking at that I thought was kind of cool. It is called the Bellicose. Ultra Sabers sells it. It's kind of so it's kind of chrome and black, a little bit more accented pommel, but then black grip, and then leading into a series of like chrome rings with a little bit of black accent. Just a pretty straight cylinder with a little bit more interesting guard at the top. It just kind of crescents up a little bit, so it's not straight, but it just crescents up a bit. I actually think that looks pretty BA. I guess for me, I don't need anything like super crazy,
super intricate.
Yeah, it doesn't really have to be intricate or anything like that, but I thought that one looked pretty cool when I was looking through certain things. But yeah, saber color is always green. It's green.
Yeah. What about Rey's saber? Would you take that from the end of Rise?
It's not my thing. I think that I've watched a ton of Galaxy's Edge stuff. I'm chomping at the bit. Like I'm waiting for two things. I'm waiting for Celebration, the A or the nay, yay or nay. Because if it's on, I still have to buy plane tickets. And if it's not,
you're getting $900 back, and you can buy, all the lightsabers.
Well, my thing is if it's a no, then I want to jump down to Galaxy's Edge when it opens, if it opens. Because I want to go to the Savi's workshop and make one. And I think that what were there? There are 4 different classes. There's like the Sith, the Power and Control, the Serve and Protect, that's not what it was. Something and something, Old Republic-y, and then like the one with the Rancor tooth on it. So,
yeah,
the Earth.
We are such knowledgeable fans.
I don't remember everything. It's the Earthbender one, you know. But anyway, I think it was whatever the Protect tier was pretty cool. And again, that was, if I remember correctly, that was kind of like the chrome and black look and everything. But I just want to go. All these super expensive sabers, not many of them actually have a crystal, but the ones at Disney that you get for like $150, they have a crystal in it.
And it's really crazy how good of a value Galaxy's Edge is, because if that were anywhere but Disney, that'd probably be like an $800, $900 lightsaber.
Well, the funny thing is if you go on eBay, well, it doesn't really matter so much now because Park closed, but there are quite a few people out there they would take your eBay order and they would go to Galaxy's Edge, build the saber that you wanted, and then bring it back and ship it to you. So it's like,
and the crazy thing is that's probably gonna be lucrative for a long time, because when are they gonna open another Galaxy's Edge?
Well, I mean, right now, obviously, most of them are up, S's Creek, because they don't have, or they were building them as they came in, because it is an investment. But the thing is normally the price tags on those, like bare minimum, is like $300. So you're paying like more than double, I believe, for them to go in there and do it. But of course they're using their, they have to buy into the park, or I don't know how.
It's probably a decent amount of time to get through that and do it too.
Probably.
So if you actually factor in what your time is worth.
Right. Now, I have never been to a Disney park. Never been to one. Our parents never took us to flipping Disney. Okay. So I don't know how it works. I don't even care how it works. I just want to go. And then I want to go to Harry Potter World and then do nerd stuff all day long and eat Rana wraps and drink blue milk. That's all I want to do is have some fun. You're not going to sing the rest of that song?
Copyright.
Good God. Well, I think
we could sing up to 29 seconds worth of the song.
I don't even know about that. I mean, I hear that's different whenever you do it. Heck, our friends over at An Unexpected Podcast, Des and Lane, if you like Tolkien, that's a great podcast to listen to. But I remember one time they had an episode where, and it was very early on, if I remember correctly, and Lane was explaining to Ez how Led Zeppelin was very into Lord of the Rings. And they had lyrics relating to Lord of the Rings in certain songs. So like during the start of one of the episodes, I don't think it's there anymore because I think they cut it out, but he just played one entire song to start the episode. I'm trying to think of which one it was. But anyway, it was one of those deals where it's like, yeah, you might want to take that down because Zepp might have stolen everything they ever did from everybody else, or allegedly. But they'll still go after you.
But they will steal from you as well.
Great band though. So anyway, yeah. I think we BS'd a little bit there, but let's go ahead and get into the meat of the episode. So obviously Clone Wars is over. We don't have anything more to talk about Clone Wars for now. But we do, however, have some stuff to go over for Mandalorian. Now, Mandalorian, and we do have the quote unquote, or actually, you know what? I actually hate when people say quote unquote. I don't know why I just said it. My mouth got away from my brain. It's quote, say your thing, and then unquote, but whatever. That's semantics. But anyway, we had the quote confirmation, end quote, that The Mandalorian is still set to premiere when it should. So apparently all the filming and everything was already done. So they don't have to worry about any of this. They got it done before the whole coronavirus hit up. So looking forward to that, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was very confident that they would have to, push him back quite a ways because everything else is. I mean, yes. So that was really awesome to hear.
Well, that's one of the things. I mean, Disney had just, ran all the promos for Falcon and Winter Soldier, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then that WandaVision, which I'm sure will be super cool. But they are still filming. And they also had pushback for Black Widow and Mulan. And it looks like they might still be pushing to put Mulan and Black Widow in theaters and not release them in Disney Plus. They want that theatrical release, man.
Yeah.
They want that popcorn money.
Mulan should have been done way before.
Oh, dude. They both
that's been
I think they both should have been out already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They're like, nope. You're not getting that for what you paid for Disney Plus. We need that popcorn money.
Yeah.
Because
I think that was probably slated end of April for Mulan.
Yeah, I can't. I can't remember. I'll be honest. I actually do want to see that. I'm
super pumped. I don't care if it's a musical anymore or not. I don't care if they change it, take out Mushu. It still looks awesome.
I just want to hear "I'll make a man out of you," just once. Yeah, that from the trailers, that movie did look really cool, and I've been waiting for a Black Widow movie since, the beginning, because I thought Scarlett Johansson was just such a perfect character for it. I mean, I don't care about Ant-Man.
Honestly, I've been going through Marvel again, trying to really watch it all in the right timeline.
Yeah, sure.
Not skip over anything. I had to skip Ant-Man halfway through. Couldn't stand it.
I like Paul Rudd. It's Paul Rudd, right?
I think so.
See how knowledgeable I am.
Not a bad actor, just not good as far as a character. I don't like Ant-Man as a character though.
Yeah. Well, the Disney checks haven't been coming in. We've got to hold up, so we have. I'm under no obligation to do proper research. Yeah, I don't know. Well, another character, and people can eviscerate me for this. The dude who's the lead in Ozarks. Um, what is that guy's name? I never remember his name, but I never really care about him. Jason Bateman. I don't like Jason Bateman. I I just don't care for him. I've tried to watch his stuff. Arrested
Yeah.
Development. I didn't think Arrested Development was funny. Sorry.
I never got into it, honestly.
I mean
Didn't have much interest.
that's a hot take for some people, I guess, but I just never thought it was funny. And I watched the movie. I think it was with Melissa McCarthy or something McCarthy, where she like stole his identity. I remember watching that. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm just not laughing. I'm just not laughing
Yeah.
at this. So the Ozarks, I know people say it's a great show, but because it has him in it, I don't really care. A similar thing kind of happens with Paul Rudd. Like, I like Paul Rudd. I actually think Paul Rudd's funnier. I mean, Anchorman, I loved him in Anchorman. But I don't know if he's like Carrie the film type of material. But we're not really talking about Star Wars, are we?
It's all under the Disney banner now. It doesn't matter.
Darth Rudd. Yeah, Darth Rudd.
Darth Rudd.
Darth Rudd sounds like he would carry a brown lightsaber.
That's honestly one color lightsaber I never thought of, and I'm missing that. I'm missing not thinking about that.
Brown sabers. Yeah. Now, Paul Rudd's cool. Marvel's never been. I do like certain Marvel things, but anyway, Mulan. Super excited about that because again, I love the cartoon, and I was interested to see what they would do with that for live action because it could be epic. It could be epic, and then Black Widow. I was really interested in that, but so Mando season 2, good to roll. Looks like we're already pretty much done. It's good to roll. Now, that being said, we've talked a lot about, folks who could be in The Mandalorian. And we've kind of talked ad nauseum a little bit of Ahsoka Tano, possibly Rosario Dawson, not officially confirmed. And then we had a lot of speculation over, okay, well then what's she going to do? How do we fit her in the story, right? Because we don't have what I feel would be the last season of Rebels. And Dave Filoni's been a little squirrely about that, but we'll talk about Dave Filoni here in a bit because I do want to patch a little bit of Filoni. I think
we have a decent amount to talk about.
Yeah,
with him.
I only really need to talk about him. I don't care about the rest, but we'll get to that, the reason why, in a minute.
Yeah, but I know what it is. Trust me.
Okay. So, but we have 2 rumored additions. The first one being potentially Sabine Wren from Rebels, and Sabine, super cool character. One of the reasons why I wanted a season 5 of Rebels is to see what they did. We haven't found Ezra, okay? So what's up with that? Where's the Sabine and Ahsoka Tano adventures? It could be like a little 60s sitcom. Sabine and Ahsoka journeys, with a little theme music or whatever, it'd be great. But just seeing them kind of go off and sort of do their thing, and sprinkle in Hera doing her thing, get a little Jason Syndulla in there too, maybe. There's a lot you could do. But let me get your reaction. So you first heard maybe Sabine could be in Mandalorian season 2. Go. What do you got?
Honestly, at that point, I had already heard of 3 others, including Ahsoka. So it was so much overload that I didn't even really consider what that would be like and how she would tie in. I'm just getting worried, and we talked about this, that the focus is shifting away from Mando.
Yeah.
And the child.
Yes.
And all the other cast we built up, which isn't a lot, but, we got some great characters already in Mandalorian, so I don't get why we have to replace them all with these big names.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is, like, don't think for a second that the little bounty hunter group led by Bill Burr is not coming back. They're
Oh, they're
totally coming
definitely
back,
coming back.
right?
And if Bill Burr doesn't, I mean, it has to. It has to happen.
So,
And also that assassin, who
mhm.
I believe is still
Yep.
alive.
Exactly. Yep. I love Sabine. I think it would be really cool to have her in another project. I don't know that this is the right project. Again, I think you have to have Rebels before you prop them into something else. Because yeah, it could be Sabine and Ahsoka off on a journey, still trying to find Ezra, trying to do their thing.
Right. And why can't that be its own thing? Why does it have to be tied into this? Because we're not going to get it. None of these characters are, supposedly putting in are going to be there through the whole story. They're going to be in there for like an episode as cameo.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going to get a character development out of them. It's just going to be fan service, essentially.
But see, I honestly think because there's so much left untapped that would just upset people. And again, you have to think about the timeline. So Rebels was right before A New Hope. So you're talking about literally going through New Hope, Empire, Return of the Jedi. This is when Mandalorian is happening after Return of the Jedi. So when you think about Rebels and they're still looking for Ezra, I don't think so, my friend. I don't think so. I feel like that's a stretch. So, man, I don't know. I don't know why Sabine would be in there. I don't know why Ahsoka would be in there personally, aside from just wanting to do live action.
At that point, Ahsoka is getting fairly old. She's probably in her 50s or 60s at that point. So
you got to think. I mean, she was what, 14 or 15 at the beginning of the Clone Wars?
Something like that. And that was probably the span between that and A New Hope is probably almost 30 years, 25.
I don't remember.
Something like that.
I'm really bad with the date.
Clone Wars is at least 5 years, I think.
Something like that. All I'm saying is that I just don't understand yet why they would be here. Would I hate it? No, but do I get it? No, not really.
I think it would make more sense for Ahsoka to be in the Kenobi series than this. Truthfully, I think that would make more sense.
Well, the thing is, the Kenobi series is before. No, wait. Let me think here. So Kenobi series. Okay, so yeah, Kenobi series is after Clone Wars, before Rebels. So it's kind of hanging in there. So
it could mess with the book timeline, I guess. The Ahsoka novel, I guess.
Well, the Ahsoka novel, is right after Clone Wars, so it's possible that I don't think she'll be in there. I don't see a point to having.
No, I think it would make more sense to put her in that if you're going to put her in something going.
Okay, sure. I
she already has a connection with Kenobi. She doesn't have a connection with Mando, and how are we going to build her as a character?
It just
an episode or two.
It just depends on the story. It's like, what are you going to give her to do, and why haven't you given me the next season of Rebels?
Yeah,
do it. Okay, so let's talk about rumor mill. Just as far as who could play her. Now the voice actress Tia Sarkar has voiced her in Rebels. Not necessarily bad choice, but we already have negated any chance of Ashley Eckstein playing Ahsoka. Basically, we're thinking in a live action role. So I highly doubt we're going to get voice actresses or voice actors playing their counterparts in live action.
Yeah. And at that point, I almost hope they don't dub the voice over, because I feel like that'd be kind of awkward.
They do that with Maul.
See,
I mean, they do it with Maul. So I don't know.
True, but who's the actress who's slated to potentially do Ahsoka? What's her name?
Rosario Dawson.
Yeah, it would be kind of awkward to see her on the big screen with Ahsoka's voice. I don't know. That to me, the way she looks versus the really young voice, of Ahsoka would be kind of weird.
Well, I mean, Ashley did do you haven't seen Rebels though. So you haven't heard her
True.
talk in Rebels. So she does
True.
do a slightly different voice for that.
I've seen the entire battle with Vader and all the dialogue there. So I know that they do drop her voice quite a bit.
So you cheated.
Obviously. Well, I've watched all the major plot points.
Fine. Well,
I'm not going to skip over the battle with Maul or Vader. Come on.
No, I get you. They're epic. So here's one more rumor mill thing, which I actually thought was kind of funny. So let's dive into the world of professional wrestling. Sasha Banks. That was somebody who was rumored, I guess, like a rumor to play Sabine, which would be interesting because obviously, I think she's still pretty young and she's athletic, so she could have the athleticism to play, an active Mandalorian, I guess. That could be interesting, I suppose. I don't know. I was looking around. I didn't really see a ton of rumors about who else they would cast, which makes me think that this really just isn't something that's going to happen.
Right.
Normally there's no more rumors.
Typically that's front page news. I mean, you find that pretty quickly and easily. So
yeah, I don't know about Sabine. We'll
there
see.
isn't a whole lot about Sabine either. When you Google casting rumors, things like that, she doesn't come up much.
Yep.
And mainly because of who does come up and who does come up.
No doubt. So let's talk about the big one, the biggerest one that everybody's talking about, and I did a tweet about saying, but do we need this though? People agreed. So potential for Boba Fett's return.
Yes.
Yeah. Boba Fett, played by the original actor of Jango Fett.
Yes. Do you have it pulled up? Because I can get it very quickly if you know. Hold on 1 second. It is.
Oh, you're the name guy.
Tamara Morrison.
Yeah.
Probably butchering that, but that's okay.
So does this mean he also gets to play some rogue clones? They're gonna bring back the Bad Batch. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God, no.
If you just see him like
having Tamar try and play all of them who don't look anything like him.
The most prolific actor of our time.
Scar him up and shave his head and all that, yeah.
He played over 200,000 clones with 1 million more on the way. The most prolific actor of our time.
He is the richest actor of all time.
Oh, God. He
gets paid for every role.
He
gets royalties for every death.
What a contract negotiation. So, okay, we're going to have you play about 200,000 clones. All right, so I'm going to need, let's see, maybe $1,000 per role. You'll break us, Morrison. You're going to break us. With another million on the way, you're going to destroy Disney.
We need to sell. Hey, Disney wants to buy us. That's probably what happened. Attack of the Clones ruined us. Hey, look, Disney.
So George went ahead and paid him for every single role he played. That would be
Disney didn't see
funny.
that in the contracts.
Oh my God!
Hey, you still need to use him.
That would be so. It's complete garbage, but it would be so funny if that were true. If he just gets paid by the clone. Oh goodness!
Really, guys, he's the future of Star Wars. I swear.
Let me be divisive. Jango Fett, 100% cooler than Boba Fett.
Yeah, and Tamar's actually a good actor.
Oh, he's cool. Yeah,
nothing against him. Got a good voice. Very iconic voice.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, okay, so let's go through a little bit of timeline here. So Boba Fett thrown in the Sarlacc pit. Let's see, Chuck Wendig's book, one of the Aftermath books. Don't remember which one off the top of my head. We have a man showing up on Tatooine wearing Mandalorian armor that he effectively found in the desert. So presumably, not confirmedly, but presumably, he found Boba Fett's armor. Okay? I mean, I don't know about how many Mandalorians were out there just getting eaten by Sarlaccs. So, has always begged the question, did Boba Fett survive? Now, there's some non-canon, deep universe stuff that confirmed he didn't die there. And it would seem like
Lots
we
of
are.
comics.
Yeah, yeah. But it would seem like we're also rolling that way as well for canon. So first and foremost, what part would Boba Fett even play here? And why should I care?
I've been thinking about that all day, and I just don't see where he would tie in. He's not a Mandalorian.
Yeah.
He never was a Mandalorian.
Yep.
Neither was Django. He might have led in a way, but he left that lifestyle. He did not care about Mandalorian creed, really. He was kind of on his own path at that point.
Well, that's another debate, though. What is a Mandalorian? Because I think
obviously it's not the people, it's the creed, and I don't feel like they follow.
I don't know about that at all. Okay, I think that
based on this series,
well, and
if we're going by the lore of this series,
it's been muddied. It's been muddied a lot because when you think about it, you have, in Rebels, in Clone Wars, Mandalore, where the Mandalorians live. Okay.
right?
And then you have a lot of muddy waters. Jango Fett, I don't think this is necessarily canon anymore, but he led Mandalorians through one of the wars.
Right.
Right. So technically, he could definitely be considered Mandalorian because he led them. He was effectively Mandalore at that point, depending on if.
But again, like you said, that's probably not canon anymore. Just like finding Boba's armor in the desert probably isn't canon anymore.
No, it is. It's Chuck Wendig. It's Aftermath. Those are canon books.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those are canon. So I don't know, man. It's kind of tough. It's kind of tough to. It's kind of tough to tell because there's been so much muddying, and the other thing too is Boba Fett is not Jango Fett's son. He is a clone of Jango Fett who is allowed to grow naturally, as opposed to having the accelerated growth. So he was just a normal average clone, which he raised as his son, which is a paradox. You're raising yourself.
Yeah.
Which is kind of strange.
So when you think about that, technically, if the Jango Fett lore is true, technically Boba Fett could still be considered the Mandalorian. Because Jango was. If he's a clone, then would they look at him as their leader? And do we want them to look at him as their leader? Exactly.
Let's not get into
So now is Mando and Boba going to fight over who gets to be the Mandalorian? Because that's what we're going towards. We all want Mando to become the Mandalorian, obviously. So
do we?
Is that what we're going for?
Is that what everybody wants? Because I don't know, man.
He's gonna get the Darksaber. So
no, that's why Sabine's in here, because she gets the Darksaber.
Or is Boba Fett gonna get the Darksaber and just say "F you" to everybody?
I really do. I really do hope that Boba Fett's not in this. I've said that from the beginning, though. When this all came out, I never really cared about Boba Fett. Like I said, Jango Fett was cooler to me. I thought he was just better. But Boba Fett never really intrigued my imagination, even back at the start of things. So I just really don't care. But, we've talked about this. We've danced around it. Like, how many people do we need to put in this before we've completely overshadowed The Mandalorian? Because we're already doing it with Baby Yoda. That's a sensation. We're already kind of doing that. And then, why don't we kind of focus on this, almost father-son relationship thing and kind of focus more on that, and then, cycle in some new characters. You don't have to go to the well. You just have to make the new characters great.
And they have. They've really made some great characters. Even ones that we lost, like IG-11, they were memorable characters. We had a great bounty hunter character. We had an Ugnaught that everyone cared about. Whoever thought we'd say that?
Man, you know who I really loved? that waitress in the bar that brought the bone broth. She was great.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll look after your kid, mister. I don't know you. I would never sell him to slavers or something. But yeah, sure, I'll get you some soup. It'll be awesome.
Could you just imagine how little people would care about the Mandalorian, though, if we just have an episode of Ahsoka and the child? A little adventure between them. We would forget the name of the show.
Well, and that's part of the thing. It's like, I think people are wanting to find like a force wielder to teach little Yoda, baby Yoda, the child, whatever you want to call it, how to use the force. But for me, I want to see the story where baby Yoda becomes freaking baby Mandalorian. Like, yeah, this is the world. I don't know. You know, I love Jedi stuff, but sometimes, like with Rogue One,
if I cared so much,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Say what you wanted to say.
Go ahead.
I was just saying.
Gonna say if I really want to throw someone in there,
I'm talking now. No, just go ahead.
No, I mean, with that logic, though, if we want to find a force wielder, we could just CG Luke in because of the timeline. If we just want to do that, I mean, we could just do that now because of Rise. Why do we gotta go to Ahsoka? You know, it'd be easier to CG Luke in than to find Ahsoka, a good actress for that.
You poor backwards child.
But I don't need someone to teach the child. I think there's something cool about the Mandalorian having really no idea what to do with this force wielder, and then the force wielder just stumble through learning it themselves. Because clearly he's strong enough that he can learn on his own.
Yeah, I mean, he already knows some things. I mean, he's done some choking, and he's done some levitating, and you know, he's done some other cool stuff. You know, the wavy hand thing. It's good. Maybe next he'll be force healing people.
Yeah,
that's a thing.
That's a popular thing.
No one's ever truly gone. Literally.
That's the problem. That's the whole problem. No one's ever gone.
It's
higher stakes. It takes all the high stakes action away when you say that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't need to dive too deep into that today, but it does kind of bring up the whole. Sometimes it's okay to let things go. It's healthy. It's healthy to be able to have the fortitude to be able to let things go. Like, things don't last forever. We know that from practical experience that they don't last forever. And just trying to sit around and saying, oh no, because blah, blah, blah. And, you know, that's sci-fi a lot of times. But in reality, well, this isn't reality, but in reality, that doesn't happen. So I don't know, man. I mean, it is what it is. I'm happy with what we're getting. I'm happy that we are getting what we're getting. But I think I would really, really prefer to see, to not see Boba, to relegate the Ahsoka return to the next season of Rebels, which I do think we're going to get eventually. And, you know, maybe incorporate some more core Mandalorians into the lore that are not necessarily like a part of Mando's crew. Like, these are the Mandalorians like we remember them from Mandalore, maybe. I think that might be interesting, something to explore. But what do I know? I just have Star Wars Podcast.
Bragger.
Yes, you don't have it. I have it. It's mine.
Yes.
So.
Oh, it's weak. Time for me to kill him.
Oh, good sauce.
But I don't have an apprentice yet. Crap.
You gotta get yourself an apprentice. Gots to get yourself an apprentice.
I've got a rabbit in my room. That could be my apprentice.
Darth
Bunny.
Okay, so one other thing that I want to chat about before we kind of wrap up? Because obviously we don't have a ton of stuff here. Oh, wait, I forgot. I don't have anything else to talk about. There's not much out there today. There's not much out there right now.
You don't want to talk about how awesome Dave Filoni is?
Oh, you mean the real thing that we were going to talk about last? Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the what are we calling this? Behind the scenes Mandalorian
it's
talks.
Not really a documentary, I guess. But the thing of it is, it's not even just all Mandalorian. They're kind of going over all of Star Wars.
Yeah, let me try and look up exactly what they called it, because I'm blanking a bit. But we've gotten through 2 episodes of this kind of behind the scenes documentary style deal. If you want, we can go in depth. Disney Gallery, Star Wars Mandalorian. Yeah. I thought
was kind of a strange name.
Yeah, I did too. I don't really need to go into anything specific except one thing. Dave Filoni needs to be in charge of Star Wars going forward.
Yes, because he understands George Lucas's vision so vividly, and he understands the importance of certain events, one of them being one of our favorite things to talk about, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he is a hardcore Star Wars nerd.
Hardcore.
In a way that Favreau can't even contemplate.
None of them can. Of them. Like, I'll be honest with you.
They were all amazed just listening to him.
Yeah, in the second episode listed as Legacy, they let him darn near dominate the entire episode, and specifically at the end to end it, it was like a 10-minute monologue of him just explaining the lore, and they're all just looking at him, because in that table there was like Kathleen Kennedy, and so people that have been around a while, but it's like, okay, but you don't understand. Like you understand, but you don't understand. When we were he
taught them all something.
Oh, he definitely did. When we were going around and like looking at the individual directors for Mandalorian episodes, that was cool. But like, I have to look it up who it was. Directors, Google. Rick. Ooh, that's a name. Famu. Why? So I can't pronounce it. Director Rick. So, you know how bad I am.
I believe he was. What was he head of? He was. I think based on what we saw, he just kind of dealt with all the dialogue and actually people interacting with each other. From what I gathered, I don't know what.
No, I mean he directed one of the episodes. But he's done some other stuff in the past. The Wood, Brown Sugar, Talk to Me, a couple of other things that I've seen. The Flash.
He was the one that was talking about the Jawa episode, right? Did he do the Jawa?
Maybe. Okay, so he directed episode 2, chapter 2, and chapter 6. Okay. And he also was one of the pilots that destroyed the space station. So he made a cameo.
Yeah.
So he was also a writer for that episode. My issue is that I don't doubt his love of Star Wars, but when you look at his response and his like story, and then you put that side by side with Dave Filoni, it's like there's no comparison. Like Filoni literally,
all of them though.
I mean, he literally displayed every single bit of passion you possibly could for this franchise, and the other ones just look like, yeah, I love Star Wars, it's great.
Yoda, yeah.
Well, Bryce Dallas Howard,
young Yoda.
Yeah, Bryce Dallas Howard. When you actually saw her on set, different story. She definitely had a lot of moments. Deborah Chow. Yeah. The guy that I probably mispronounced last time, who got his own series, Taika.
Taika.
Yeah, I mean it's Taika, so I would say Taika. Watiti, or sorry. And he's done a lot of big stuff. He did Thor, but
Mhm.
again, like,
Not necessarily the biggest Star Wars fan, though, I don't think, compared to some of the others.
I think he looks for projects. I think he looks
Yeah.
specifically. I think he's a project guy. I think he sees a project where he can, bring in his art and make it matter. And I think that seems to be a big thing for him. I could be wrong, but that's the way I look at it. I think he views it more as I'm gonna kill these people with my art because I can.
Yeah. We did get a cool little conversation with he was a visual art director for Phantom Menace, I believe. Older guy. He was had a little discussion with him about how everyone thought that Phantom Menace was all CG, and he actually did quite a few of the models for it.
Right. Yeah, and there's been a lot of stuff going around about the amount of models that were used in the prequels and everything. It's actually pretty amazing, the whole model side of everything, but
it's huge.
Yeah.
It's so time consuming. It was cool to see that Howard did our one of our favorite episodes, the Village episode. She from what they all said, basically they threw her in the deep end with that because they didn't want to deal with the episode themselves.
It's a great
and
episode.
I thought that it was I don't want to say flawless, but it was very well done. It hit all the footnotes of that type of episode, that type of story arc very well.
Yep.
So
exactly. So, but again, really the biggest point is that you just saw so much more passion for Filoni. And I guess if you're going to, because there's been talk about effectively maybe axing Kathleen Kennedy, and that's been happening for a while, but it starts back up periodically. She's been there, man. She's not new. Yeah. Okay. And I think like people really have to put things into perspective. She was also there with George, but Dave was his protege. It was crazy him talking about getting hired, and like coming in and talking to George and like literally thinking it was a joke. Like they're not calling, there's no animation division of Lucasfilms. And then him going in and having a conversation literally like as he's going out there telling him, yeah, you got the job.
Just opening the door real quick, telling him, then closing again.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I think that as far as lore, like no disrespect to anybody else, but I want Dave Filoni really to handle stuff right now.
I totally agree, and really, he won me over the most with his little discussion on Qui-Gon. I think he hit the nail on the head every single time he made a comment on why Duel of Fates is called this, and the gravity of the situation, all the way tying into episode 6. The way he made that connection was, I think it actually surprised people at that table, and they're all quote Star Wars fanatics, unquote. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, the thing is we're not doubting the passion of these people, but when you stack them up against a Dave Filoni, it becomes very evident like who is the ultimate Star Wars nerd. And then who are the folks that, you love Star Wars, that's great. But who's the nerd?
And passion.
Dude, come on. I mean, it's the guy
passion
in the cowboy
is great, but blind passion can still lead to bad projects if you don't know the intent of the story, who the original writer's intent was, and just the lore in general. You could demolish the continuity if you don't, if you're not a mega nerd. We need mega nerds heading Star Wars productions right now, and I can't think of a better one than him right now.
I think it's a difficult line to walk. There's so many people in the fan base now that are have trashed a lot of what's been put out there instead of like trying to enjoy the journey. Mandalorian though was one of those things that just universally got a ton of praise.
Yeah.
So it's something to hang on to, and I think we all want to make sure that it is as good as it should be, and that we're not overshadowing the things that make it what it is. And I think that's the big thing that we're fighting about is just, okay, but you don't need to add fluff. Just let it be what it is, and it'll all come out in the wash, and you'll be fine. You'll make your money. You'll keep the Disney Plus subscriptions running. People will continue to buy in, but you have to keep it somewhat grounded, and if you don't, well, you're just going to get a bunch of people that, had done all that complaining about Last Jedi, and it'll be the same thing over and over again. And eventually, it hasn't really happened yet, but eventually people might stop watching your stuff because they're tired of it. They're tired of not getting what they perceive they need out of the projects.
Yeah. And I think what we need right now more than anything isn't this oversaturation of old characters being brought back. I think we need new characters to anchor our fandom in right now, especially for new people coming in,
Yeah.
A brand new Star Wars fan is not going to have the attachment to Luke Skywalker that you and I would, or Anakin for that matter. They need their own characters. And Mandalorian and the Child are really cool characters to gravitate towards, and I feel like people new coming in, they're not going to care to see Boba Fett. They're not going to care to see any of these supposed characters. So keep building, keep fleshing out these characters we already have. Because my biggest fear is we're not going to flesh out Mando at all this season because of all this oversaturation. And then when those cameos leave and we're down to our finale, oh, yeah, we're back to Mando. Why do we care about him again? Can't we just have Ahsoka beat this guy with the black saber? Can't she do that? Why do we need Mando? Yeah, that's my fear.
Yeah, similar. Yeah, similar sentiment from me as well. I'm invested in the Mandalorian character. I'm invested in Little Yoda. I'm invested in Carl Weathers' character that I never remember the actual name from the show. Gina Carano's character. Just even a lot of the other little one-offs. I want my Monster of the Week, man. I want my 90s Monster of the Week movie. I don't need this to be the biggest thing since sliced bread. I just don't need that.
Yeah.
So
we'll have more shows that can have massive overarching stories, Well,
if you
Let's just have something simple to sit down and enjoy week to week.
If you think Star Wars is over,
no.
If you think the cinematic Star Wars universe is over, right, get out of here. There's no way. There will be movies, there will be series. This stuff, we'll be talking about this. Our grandkids will be talking about this because it'll always be there. It's a money maker.
And in the time of our grandkids, there'll probably be 20 to 25 Star Wars movies. It's not going to end with 11.
Wouldn't.
No way.
Wouldn't doubt it. Wouldn't doubt it at all. So anyway, I think we've kind of, beaten the old proverbial dead horse. What do you think? You want to beat it anymore? I mean, it's fun to kick a dead horse when it's down, or so they say. I've never.
No, I do believe I have spoken.
Okay. All right, Darth. I need you to tone it down about 3 or 4
Rest in
notches.
Peace. Rest in peace, little guy.
Or is he? Is he gone? Because no one ever truly is gone.
I did think that was hilarious, though, when Favreau was talking about making this connection between IG and his character.
Oh, yeah.
And the other director's like, and then you killed them.
Yes, and then you killed them both brutally murdered. You murdered the characters.
It's just like, sometimes you just gotta do that.
Sometimes you just have to murder them.
Walking Dead.
Yeah. It's a vampire bat, Rick. Oh, goodness. Okay. Well, anyway, folks, hopefully you enjoyed a little bit of a off-topic bouncing all over the place conversation. Just a little bit of everything thrown into one
We
episode.
talk about
Lightsabers and Clone Wars and Rebels and Mandalorian and Dave Filoni.
Harry Potter.
Yeah,
Lord
there
of
was
the
something
Rings.
about that. Yeah, Galaxy's Edge and complainy stuff and Boba
I think
Fett.
we even talked about.
Boba Fett.
I think we even talked about. Yeah, we talked about Hot Pockets for like 20 minutes, right? Yeah,
What?
just everything in there.
What are you talking about? Hot Pockets? I don't think we mentioned that.
We talked about Hot Pockets for a solid hour
Okay.
and 20 minutes.
All right, man. Okay, man. All right, Jim. All right, Jim Gaffigan. You can go ahead and get on out of here.
Hot Pocket.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, folks, hope you enjoyed. Make sure to check us out on all the social medias, the Facebook, the Twitter at TC Plan Podcast. You can even send us an email to tcplanpodcast@gmail.com and, tell us what you thought of the episodes or leave us a story. How did you get into Star Wars? We'd love to hear from you guys. We got Patreon out there too. That's something if you want to help out the podcast, but that's cool if you don't. That's also fine. Yeah, I think that's about it. So, you guys have a great rest of your week.
And as always, may the Force